Hi guys, I again tried to lay down and go to sleep, but of course they're down there laughing and joking and the burning continues. So if you don't believe me about that, I'll tell you a couple more stories while I sit here about the Deputy Police Chief, Mr. Megna. Mr. Megna and I go back a long time. I knew his grandfather, I knew his father, and now he is the grandson of Dominick. Dominick was our neighbors on Academy Street. Dominick had two sisters, Lisa and Gina. I used to go over and play with them, but if you want to call it that, because everybody I tried to play with always had adults involved. So this is the thing when you're a little kid and your parents don't want you. My mother was off to the country club thinking this was funny. My dad was off being a rock star. And these two individuals had a daughter and they didn't care. So I was left with the babysitter, my mother's new boyfriend, Bud. Well, Bud was friends with the Megnas. Recently, my mother showed up in the midst of brutal divorce after they threw me out on the street and told me that the Megnas were never my friends. I said, "What are you talking about, Mom? We were 5 years old. We were little girls playing." Well, now that, and I didn't know at the time, I found out that the Megnas are police officers. Okay, so I saw Mr. Megna, who I say Mr. Megna, the grandfather, Lisa and Gina's father and Dominick's father. Mr. Megna was at the gym. He was 90 years old. He didn't speak English. He drank quite a bit, and he was giggling and laughing and slobbering all over himself and making inferences of prostitution or being a whore or being one of those types of women. He didn't speak English. He was 90 years old. All the men at the gym thought it was funny because, of course, women aren't supposed to go to the gym. We're not supposed to work out. We're not supposed to have careers. We're not supposed to have new cars and so on and so forth, even though Lisa went to college and she's now a chiropractor. Aren't you, Lisa? But I wasn't supposed to go to college. I wasn't supposed to have a job, right? I wasn't supposed to live a decent life. Okay, so on Academy Street, these guys thought it was funny all morning. Dominick and his father sat around laughing and joking while the girls got ready and I waited outside to play. Well, Lisa and Gina would have to brush their teeth and do their hair and get dressed and so on and so forth, and I would wait patiently. And Mr. Megna and Dominick thought it was funny to do this all morning long. And sometimes by the time noon came, they would say, oh, they can't come out and play. They're going to go to their families. So this went on, the entire summer. So Lisa and I got to play a few times, but other than that, it was an ongoing joke. I would go over there and this is what would go on. My mother cut off all my hair. That's a story for another day. And she gave me these old lady hairdos. It was a big joke. I would be humiliated at school. So I moved down to East End. After that, my mother had a new boyfriend. And the Megnas picked me up for a pool party. Lisa had all her hair cut off. Right, Lisa? Remember when you had all your hair cut off? You looked like you were traumatized? Well, they traumatized me too. I had long hair down my back, just like Lisa, and we both had our hair chopped off. I get over to the pool party. My bathing suit isn't up to snuff, like everyone else's new trendy stuff. And I was picked apart, told she wasn't my friend, didn't want to be my friend, and Dominick brought me home, back to the East End, where I was continually harassed by my cousin's brother by this time, who's 19, 20 years old, okay, with his group of friends, which included my ex-husband, which included Mr. Megna, which included Dominick, which included these other men. Okay, so now he's the deputy police chief. So I'm not going to just pick on Mr. Spencer, but Mr. Megna shows up, humiliates me, degrades me, calls me a whore, tells me I made everything up. You can see a video of him on my Twitter page doing the same thing. So obviously these men need training, not only in domestic violence, but sexual abuse. Because certainly some of us women have a history, and I certainly have a history. That started when I was 5 years old. My parents divorced. We can talk about the judges and the lawyers in Amsterdam. This started when I was a little girl. And actually, my mother's boyfriend stayed involved with her, Bud, with her other new boyfriends. So this was an ongoing thing with my half family. My mother remained friends with these men. They were in and out of my life at different times. They were getting together behind my back. because my mother, within the year, had 2 more children. She was pregnant, and she had my 2 half brothers. So the joke has been ongoing with my half family, and included Mr. Megna, included Mr. Spencer, because all these men were friends, included my ex-husband, because his cousin out in Fort Johnson, where we lived, when my mother's had a new boyfriend out there, was Mr. Cuddy, and he's a police officer now. So it's his cousin now, I believe, who was involved in stealing my brand new car. And then there's Mr. DiCaprio. His mother was my Girl Scout leader. Okay, so we have these other officers. And then when I transferred to college up here to Albany, my roommate was involved with police officers, her brothers, and she asked me if I wanted to date a police officer. I said no. She was, we'll come out for a drink. We went to Lark Tavern over here. It was all police officers. A month later, I went to a local bar and I met this man, Fred Winters, and his family's involved with law enforcement. And he called me recently to make allegations and harass me. And after, 40 years, because I dated him when I was in my early 20s. And then we broke up when I was lured home by my cousin Holly. Come home, we'll go to the beach, blah, blah, blah. They had started all this trouble with my job and so on and so forth. And then I went home and the harassment started again. So there's enough for all these men that should have just put this to rest and said, look, this is a new time, new era. She deserves her assets and we all need to move on with our lives. I would think so, gentlemen, because I will continue to talk about how we need training, resources, and victims certainly need services. Be safe.